Do you want that stand?
No, thanks.
Is your mic working?
It will when I turn it on. Okay, I'm on. I'm going to be in tab 9. Actually, go to tab 8 real quick. It's just one page. It's the full disclosure tab. Mike and I are hunting, and we're hunting for that international partner church. And so if you think you're one of those, and that's going to make more sense to you here in a moment, then please come talk to us, and we'd like to talk to you about that. Okay, go to tab 9 now. At MIT, at the Sloan School of Management, they started a program called Systems Dynamics. And out of that was birthed this idea of systems thinking. And one of the things that they found when they tried to communicate this idea of systems thinking, which we're trying to communicate to you today, is that managers really lacked a practice field. They lacked a place where they could try it, what they were learning, with quick feedback. And so they thought about that and they said, you know who gets to practice, and if they don't practice, they suffer severe consequences? It's airplane pilots. And they have flight simulators. And they get to go into the flight simulator and they get to practice certain situations and certain scenarios. And they learn, when to flip the knobs and the switches and pull back on the stick and everything. Why don't we build a management flight simulator? And so they have a whole school where they learn how to build management flight simulators. And that's what we're going to take you through right now is a management flight simulator. So you're actually going to practice, and you're going to work in groups at your table here on how do you turn an audience into an army. Okay? Yeah. To do the peace plan. How are you going to turn an audience into the army? To slay a global giant. So the consequences are huge, gentlemen. Yes. And you don't want to mess this up, right? How many of you have messed something up and said, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that? Well, this is your chance to practice in a safe place. Yeah. And so that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So here's the situation. The situation is that
I think most of the tables will have a computer that you can get.
not tonight.
But you have to do that tonight.
We'll simulate tonight together.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Never mind all the computers.
Yeah, don't worry about the computers. Right, yeah. So the situation is this. Somewhere across a geographic, linguistic, or cultural barrier is another church. This other church is being plagued by a global giant. Okay? That's the situation. And they're crying out to you to help. Help! We need relief from this global giant. Everybody understand the situation? It's important you understand the situation. Everybody got it? Okay? All right. They urgently want relief from this global giant. This global giant has just been pounding them and pounding them and pounding them. So they're asking your church for help. So here's the nomenclature. Your church, their church, or the local church. Got it? Your church, their church. And there's certain things that you can do. So what are you going to do? Well, as I said, we want to turn an audience into an army, right? Okay. Everyone in the community is familiar with the problem. Everybody's familiar in their community with the global giant. They all know about it. However, few people are involved in solving the problem. So in their church, few people are involved in solving the problem. Now, people follow a process of engagement to defeat problems together. And Mike kind of spoke into this. We start with the apathetic group. Now, this group is not apathetic to the problem. What they are is they just don't want to get involved in solving the problem. That's an important distinction. So this group doesn't want to get involved in solving the problem. They have lots of reasons not to be involved in solving problems. Costs too much, I'm too busy, not my shape, I'm really not interested, I got more problems of my own. You know the list. Okay, you've heard this list before. Yeah, so these, they do not believe it is their problem to solve. That's why we call them apathetics. Our task, how do we move the apathetics to at least become aware that they could be part of the solution? That's what we want. And these people are beginning to see it's a possibility to get involved with this, but they're still not committed to it. So they're giving mental assent to, yeah, we should probably solve this problem, but they have not yet stepped over the line to say, I want to get involved in solving the problem. We want them to step over the line and become active. So they go from apathetic to aware to active. These people slay global giants. It's the active people that do that. They say, I want to be involved in defeating the problem. And they're saying, we can defeat this problem together. How do we, as leaders, as pastors, move people from apathetic to aware to active? Well, there's a model for that. And here's that model. So you recognize apathetic, aware, active. And you can think of these as pipes. Okay? So the people flow through pipes. And those little red things with the X, those are valves. And those valves actually represent decisions that you make. Now, it's not just you making the decision, because remember, you're in your church, and the problem is in their church. But they've asked your church for help. So what are you going to advise them to do? Or what are you going to help them to do? Now, here's how it works. Can you guys see this over here? Can you see me? Apathetics move to aware, and they move to active. However, they leak. They can become unactive and go back to apathetic. Remember, the apathetic attitude is, I don't need to be involved in solving this problem. But look at this. They can move to aware. All right, give me some details about this.
Yeah.
Just like you're getting details about this.
Yeah.
And you say, I'm not going to go active yet. All right? And you go back to apathetic. Worse, or best, depends on how you look at it, they could become antagonistic. You've just educated them enough to say, that's not going to work. Okay? We shouldn't be involved in that. No, 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 no. Not us. We should let somebody else take care of that problem. That problem is not for us. By the way, Pastor, we have enough problems of our own. So these are the antagonistic people. Now, they can either be removed from the system, as in, if you're just so antagonistic year after year, maybe this isn't the place for you. Right? Have you ever had one of those conversations? Or maybe you can use their feedback and say, you know what? I'd like to hear what your solution is. Maybe we can take a good idea out of that, or get you involved, or hey, just come and see. And you can move them around back into the apathetic and move them back through the aware. Understand that?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a principle here. It's an interesting principle. These antagonistic ones are also called resistors, and resistance is good. That's why what you guys did today was beautiful for us. You pushed back. You know what that means in physics? When you push back, it means there's a change happening. So actually, we're responsible for building the resistors. These people wouldn't be antagonistic if we hadn't made them aware. Huh. Yeah, if we had not made them aware, they would not be antagonistic. So we are responsible to help them, to do something with them. So you see the model. Your objective is to influence the other church to have their 100% of their congregation become active in solving the global giant problem. Understand? Yes. How are we going to do that? You have 7 levers 10 settings per lever. You will find a combination. Yes, sir.
On the previous graph, the partners there,
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good. I missed that one. Yeah. Now, partners, I think on yours it says specialists, right? Same
Yes.
thing. You can, I've since updated it because I've run it one time and I've learned something. One way to go solve that problem is you go hire partners. Hey, you know, there's people that know how to do this. Why don't we just go get them to go do it? Okay? Let's just pay them to go solve that problem. They know about clean water. Let's just go get them to drop a well in there. Let's do that. There's people that know how to do it. So a way to increase this pool of people that are working on the problem is to hire them, bring them in. So that's what partners is, or specialists. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's very good. So you have 7 levers. Now, this LC is also TC, so it's a local church or their church. Essentially, you need to say, how much are we going to develop that next step DNA in the local church that we're helping? How much effort are we going to put into the next step DNA? And what that looks like is the next step DNA is a crawl, walk, run. It's the active people going back and engaging the apathetics and the awares to come and see. Come, try it out with us. Okay, that's the next step DNA right there. Now, if you have all your actives doing that all the time, sometimes they don't get any work done. So think about that. There isn't too much on this level. Another thing we could do is, as a church, you can bring in outside resources to solve the problem. This is generally money, okay? And the church is saying help, generally has a pretty good idea of what kind of help that is. And so they say, we need an orphanage. You say, great, we can bring the money to build an orphanage. And so that's what that lever is. You bring in the outside resources. That costs money, so I put a little dollar sign here. Just to remind you, you have a budget. You all have budgets. Okay? And you can run out of budget, and I have seen teams win by running out of budget, but not often. The other thing you could do is you could help that church install a disciple-making process. So Mike just talked to you about a disciple-making process. So how much effort do you want to put into that, helping that church install a disciple-making process? However, that is somewhat dependent on your disciple-making process experience. So how good are you running your disciple-making process in your church? If you think you can help another church do it better, why aren't you doing it in your own church? So this is a gauge of, well, this is about how well we run our disciple-making process. You may also reward the actives. So now, this could involve money at a high level of this knob. And what reward the actives would look like is when they are active. So I taught you the learn method. Coach taught you the encourage. Encourage, what was Pete? Praise, yeah, and correct method, okay? So that's what rewarding the actives is hey, thanks for going out and spending time with the people with HIV/AIDS. That was great. Appreciate you doing that. That's a small reward. Okay? All the way up to thanks for going out. Here's your $10 to cover lunch. All the way out to thanks for going out. Here's your $50 for doing that. Okay? Because we need more people doing it. So you can spend money. They will spend money doing that. Now, the other thing you can do is hire specialists. That's what it says in your book, or fund partners. It's the same idea. It's that specialist thing that Kelly asked me to explain to you. You can say, let's bring in the big guns. They are expensive, okay? But you know what? They hit the problem. And so if you want to hit the problem fast, you bring in the specialists and they'll go do that. So that's what this knob is. This also involves dollars. And then finally, What's the one big bummer for the actives? You know what it is? It's the antagonists. If there's too many antagonists, the actives are just going to say, you know, I got to fight the giant and I got to fight you.
Really, yeah.
You know, I'm just, this is a fight that's not worth fighting. And
Why
so,
are you looking at me?
because maybe you got a little antagonist in you. I don't know.
I thought it was because you used his Facebook picture here as the giant.
So you can prune the antagonist. You could, again, ask them to leave. Maybe this place isn't for you. And the level of the pruning kind of, you know, sets the atmosphere, sets the tone for things. So do you understand the 7 levers? You understand the objective?
Yes.
Okay? Let's take a look at a church that did what I call the try a little of everything strategy. And so they decided, let's, we think the next step DNA, we can get them to about a 3. So let's put it at a 3. Let's bring in just a little bit of outside resources. So let's put that at a 1. And let's work on a disciple-making process. So let's set that at a 3. And we think we're pretty good, so we're going to set that at a 5, our experience with disciple-making process. And yeah, we're going to put reward activities at about a 3, which actually turns out to be more of a verbal recognition. Could be recognition from the pulpit or some other, a celebration of some sorts. Just a little bit of money, not much. Hire specialists. You know, we really don't know what we're doing, and they don't know what they're doing, so let's bring in 1. So they brought in 1 specialist, and then let's prune the antagonist because some people are just going to resist. So let's just set that at a 2. That's what they did, and here's what happened to the problem. Problem came down nicely, but then they ran out of money, and the problem came back. You see what happened? When you run out of money, generally you leave, and the problem comes back. But what happened to the church? Well, I've got a couple lines for that. First of all, the apathetics went down. That's good, right? We want to move the apathetics into the aware. That went up. And hopefully we move them to the actives. That didn't move very much. Where did they all go? They all went into the antagonistic phase. Why? Typical. Okay, good. Yeah, typical. So this is the conversation I want you to have, not necessarily to diagnose this, but I want you to tell me where you want to set the knobs. Where are you going to set the knobs? Where are you going to set the knobs? And then we're going to set the knobs, and we're going to see how you do. So here's what I want. I want the problem solved. This is an urgent problem. I want the problem solved. And I want a healthy church. Everybody understand what I want?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Whose church is going to be healthy? Whose church is this? Their church. So you're in your coaching roles now. Yes, sir.
Why did he say the active went to the antagonistic? I couldn't hear.
That's typical.
Who said it's
Well, he said it's typical.
typical?
Yes, yes. He didn't say why. He just said it was typical. So he's holding on to some knowledge that he probably won't share with you because you're on a different team. All right. Everybody understand what I want?
Yes.
Okay. You have
I have a question.
5 to 10 minutes to
Yeah.
converse with my...
Dan, you got a question?
Oh, sorry.
In this typical situation, who identifies the giant?
Oh! You tell me what giant you want to slay.
Well, I know, but just like in a real world situation, say your community, do you sit around? I mean, who starts that? Who?
Well, there are multiple giants.
Well, the church is identified,
So how do we identify giants? That could be a whole session in itself.
right? It is a session in itself.
So come back July 28th, and we'll talk about giant identification.
Yeah. But just to be fair, what giant do we want to slay?
The law.
A global giant. Yeah,
Illiteracy.
Illiteracy. Okay, we're solving up the global giant of illiteracy. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're doing. We're all doing the same giant. Got it? How do we pick it? I didn't give you the answer on how we picked it.
Okay.
I will later. Everybody understand what I want? 5, 10 minutes, talk, figure it out. Remember, your other table is listening, so be careful there. Yes, sir.
How do we know what the budget is?
How do we know what the budget is? Look, you got enough. You got enough. You got enough of the budget. Now, yeah, in this case, they overran the budget double.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, there's no boundaries to that. because
You can't go beyond double. We capped it at double. You can't overrun by 2x. But you got enough money to get the job done.
Okay.
All right? If questions come up, I'll be walking around, and I think they need to be answered. I will break in and announce the question and give you all the answers, so no one group gets special information. All right, go ahead.